This is a true story. This man Jack was exploring the gorge alone, accidentally fell while climbing on a cliff. The man fell into the rock, and to make matters worse, Jack fell with a boulder. The boulder crushed his right hand. Jack is in great distress. He started to try to pull his arm out, but he couldn't get it out. Then he decided to lift the boulder. But he couldn't lift it. He kicked it with his feet. He pushed it with his back.
Move this fucking rock!
He pushes with all his strength. But it was like the stone was set in place. It didn't move at all. Jack moved for almost an hour, until he finally ran out of energy. Next he started calling out, but the blood circulation. It had turned purple. Even if he is rescued, his hand will be ruined. But what's more worrying now is the drinking water. Half a bottle of water left won't last for days. He has stopped sharpening the stone, because the more he sharpened the knife, the duller it became. The harder the stone is sharpened. This solution is not working. When the cold nights returned, the temperature plummeted to 6 degrees Celsius. Jack's body is rapidly losing heat. He rushes to wrap everything he has around him. He took out the biscuits he had packed earlier. He ate small bites. He ate and drank a little water. Jack didn't dare to drink much. He carefully took off his contact lenses and held them in his mouth. The next day at noon, the man starts to try a second self-rescue measure. He wraps an elastic cord around the rock several times by connecting the top rope with a spring-loaded buckle to make a fixed pulley. But the elasticity of the rope was too great. Whether he pulls down by hand or steps down, Jack used all his strength. The boulder still doesn't move. After all this effort, again his efforts were wasted. Desperate, all Jack could think about was water and all kinds of drink advertisements. He couldn't resist opening the bottle and taking a sip. Suddenly the urge to pee came on. He hadn't had time to find a container. Unfortunately, he poured it out to nature. For the second time, Jack didn't waste the opportunity, quickly catching it in a water storage bag. This is a life-saving source of water. He finds the straw of the bag wrapped in cotton wool. It's a good tourniquet to stop the bleeding. He knew in his heart of hearts what the best way to escape was. He wraps the tourniquet around his right hand. Then he tightens the band with a spring-loaded buckle. Then he takes out the knife he used to chisel the stone. He started to work on his arm, but the knife had become too blunt. It didn't have much effect. By this time Jack was so weak he couldn't even open his eyes. Jack drank some more water, but accidentally knocked over his water bottle. He wasted a lot of precious water. In a moment of desperation, Jack imagines himself at a party, in a car with a group of enthusiastic young men. Suddenly lightning and thunder. A thunderstorm begins to fall from the sky. The man rushes to open his mouth, opened his water bottle to get some water. The rain grows heavier and heavier. Instantly it becomes a small river. The water begins to pour into the gorge. Soon the water is above Jack's head. That's when Jack dives under the water, pushing the rock with all his might. The rock is finally pushed away. He's free. He quickly got back into the car. He drove all the way to his home, but outside his window, no matter how loud he made a sound, his family couldn't see him. He woke up in tears. It was just a dream. He's still trapped in this damn canyon. The fourth day, a man is trapped in the gorge. He had finished all the drinking water he had left. By this time Jack's heart was beating so fast, his whole body was shaking. Death was already knocking at the door. Jack decided not to wait any longer. He stabbed himself in the arm, but the dull blade was stopped by bone. It didn't work. At night Jack drank the fluid removed from his body. He fought off nausea and didn't throw up, but it did quench his thirst. Another night passed. Jack was on the verge of death. The visions kept coming. He saw all his family and friends. They were all sitting in front of him. It was as if they were about to witness a party. Jack starts to lose track of reality and dreams. When the sun came up again, an ant crawled on his face. Jack wanted to try one last time. He started to break his right hand. hand, in excruciating pain. He finally breaks a bone. Then he kept pushing. Words cannot describe the pain. With a distorted expression, the second bone is also broken. Jack laughed out loud and wiped away his tears. He pulled out his knife and began to cut his arm. This was the hardest part, because he had to cut the nerves in his arm, and he had to keep himself awake. The pain from the nerve was so intense. The pain was so intense that he could no longer scream. In the actual event, the process lasted for over an hour. He finally broke his arm. It was only then Jack realized that he was finally free. Jack bandages his arm. He finished packing up his things. Before he left, he grabbed his camera and took a picture. He navigates through the narrow rock crevice. With the last of his strength, he escapes the gorge. He was thrilled to see the light of day again. The end of the story. He was successfully rescued by the rescue team that arrived.